Wow, we do love that commercial, folks. I will never get sick of it. I will never get tired of it. But now, here is someone whose energy I could never get sick of. I could never get tired when he's yelling and he's out and about. Everybody, give it up for the man of the hour is PaulyHype!
Yeah!
Yeah! Let's go! Absolutely.
Good to see you, brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for coming on to the show, Pauly. It is good to see you once again. You know, for the folks at home who do not know, we've actually worked together in an event before over on a Valorant event, the first LAN of New York City and all of New York. You know what? If anyone in Buffalo wants to say they had the first LAN, no. It's our LAN.
It was our LAN. We had it. Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome event. So we did the community gaming event at Brookland in Brooklyn, New York, and it was we met each other for the first time. It was really fun, really smooth sailing. You'd be at the next one too if you didn't have that thing going on.
I got a little trip. I got a little trip planned out.
Fair enough.
You know,
well, good, man. How you doing?
I am just when I got the message to potentially work that, and I knew it was gonna be you there, and I assumed it would probably be our boy Dak as well. And I was just thinking, damn, I want to jump on the mic with them again.
yeah. Well, we're gonna have a fun. You're doing the Rocket League on Sunday, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they signed me up for that last minute, so I'll be joining you for that. So we'll have another little mini reunited event there with Dak on Sunday. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. So
Me too.
Once again, thank you for coming on to the show. And, you know, it's tradition around here that we kick things off. I got to know how you came up with your gamer tag. How'd you come up and become PaulyHype?
Sure. I mean, well, people that follow me know I was actually used a different gamer alias for 15 years of my career. I used the name Rabies. That's my name as a professional gamer. So when I was competing and I started out playing, I was a young kid, I made up the name Rabies because I thought it was very fresh and kind of like a name that no one else would possibly have, and I wanted to be like Wolf, but everyone was like, everyone had like some Wolf name or something like that. So I wound up coming up with Rabies, just super, aggressive in your face. But after 15 years of being that name, it wasn't working very well. It worked as a competitive gamer, it was fine. But in terms of like a professional, in terms of like being a caster and a host and different things like that, Rabies was not pulling the weight in terms of like just a quality on camera name anymore as now a professional on-air talent. So I changed it over to PaulyHype, and I thought to myself, hey, my main name is Paul, and what do you do? What is your brand? And it's hyping. So that's really where PaulyHype came from. Kind of came up with it last minute on the spot. Was just sitting in this exact chair and trying to brainstorm something, and it came up, and I loved it. And ever since the new year, I've been PaulyHype. So it's been really fun to do that.
Wait, so you've only become PaulyHype in 2021?
Yeah. I had only switched over to that in January of 2021, actually. It was a rebrand. It was my agent's idea. He said that he had talked to a lot of different people, higher ups, and like they were all saying that we know this guy Rabies. We've seen him before. I've been in this industry 15 years now. There's not a lot of people that have at least never seen like anything I've been a part of ever. So he was just getting a lot of feedback about how a lot of people wanted to work with me, but they hated the Rabies name. They didn't like it. They literally told him, like, we don't want to promote it. We don't know how to promote it. We don't know how to go about bringing it in as like a brand deal or so on. So he didn't say to do it, but he said, listen, this is the feedback I'm getting. I'm just letting you know you can do whatever you want. And I was like, you know what? If this is hurting my income, I got to change it. And honestly, ever since I've changed it, at first I was like, I don't know, man. I'm always going to be Rabies. I don't want to change. I don't want to change my brand and who I am. But as actually the 6 months have gone out, now we're in, or 7 or 8 months rather, I actually am really happy I changed it. It's been a lot better. I've been getting a lot better feedback, and I've been really enjoying not having to explain why my name is Rabies, or like people kind of understand it, at face value a little bit more, Los. So that's I honestly have been liking it a lot more.
Well, I'm glad that you don't have to explain it. I honestly I hate explaining like I can go pro, or people say like, oh, can you actually go pro? And I always just say yes. Shut up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I want to say that to people that are like, well, what's Rabies mean? I'm like, shut up, man. Don't worry about what it means. It's the name. But that was really that has been the saving grace behind it. Just so tired of explaining all the time what the name means, and it was getting tiring. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be PaulyHype now.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're PaulyHype too, because I feel your name. I feel it coming from you. But I'm just trying to think, Like, all right, guys, everybody get hyped because we got rabies.
Yeah, that's how it was. That exactly that right there is it. You hit the nail on the head. That's how it was. And a lot of people just didn't get it. Even if they went along with it, even if they would hire me, they still would like. I could just tell that stigma that kind of how you just said it right there is like. I could see why that was an issue at a certain point. Like it's different as a competitor, right? Like you're competing. Your name is your name. You're just a competitor. There's nothing behind it. You can kind of do whatever you want. But as like a grown man, it's almost like that Puffy to P Diddy to Diddy rebrand. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that natural progression of things. So it was cool to do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it has to be a name that companies would be familiar with, but, you know, it's kind of like a growth. You've transformed. You've become your next stage of the evolution, you know?
And that's what a lot of people have said to me after the name change. I've gotten nothing but positive feedback from it, nothing but people that were saying that it was a good name change, really good. Drop the rabies. Like, yeah, a lot of people have been just saying that for a long time. So, honestly, I was a little pushback at first, but now I'm happy we're on the other side.
Well, I mean, so you dropped the rabies, but you still have rabies as kind of part of you. Yeah. What is Rabies Entertainment?
So Rabies Entertainment is my official company that I started. It's just kind of like I finally have my entire business on paper. And Rabies Entertainment, I probably will be name changing it to probably like PaulyHype Entertainment or something like that shortly. But it was just kind of a throwback and kind of like showing some love to this past brand of who I am. Just kind of, you know, as a business, it's not as bad. It's like you just pay Rabies Entertainment. You know what I mean? You don't have to engage with Rabies Entertainment. So since you just pay the brand that, it was kind of nice, just a nice little throwback. But it's my official company that I just started, basically.
Oh, okay. So it just makes things like it's a formality. So
right.
You don't have to get people to just send it to your PayPal. Send it to the business, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And the reason for that is because I actually, you know, you get those business tax write-offs, and that's why it's so important to form an LLC or to do business as if you are someone that has a separate business or if you're spending money in a separate entity or genre of your life, it helps so that you can do those separate business tax write-offs. So that's really the main reason why I did it.
Okay, yeah, for sure. You know, as gamers, we play video games, but we also try to game the system.
That's it. That's literally it. So it's like that's one way that you can really get up ahead. I mean, I was doing the math. I'm spending $10,000 a year on gaming and accessories and so on. It's like I get that money. I'm trying to get that money back. I just got to come back home to Papa. So
it's a business expense, you know.
Right, and it is because all those things are what facilitate my income, all those expenses. So that's why it just made sense to do that. And I have a very smart and insanely successful accountant uncle, and he had been pushing this on me for quite a bit and helped me get it set up and helped me get everything and understand why you want to have it set up and so on. So he was really the driving factor between me getting to the next level of I consider it the next level of my career because I think it's a big thing.
Well, that's good to hear. So Rabies is a throwback to the beginning of your career in the industry. So let's talk about your career in the industry. I want to talk about how you first got into the competitive gaming space.
Absolutely. I was always a gamer. When I was 5 years old, my dad got me a regular Nintendo, first Nintendo. And ever since that time, I had just been playing video games. I kind of got sucked in right away. And I went to my very first tournament. I started competing online in like 2003 or so, 2002. And a lot of people, I started competing and a lot of people were just like, hey man, you know, there's some tournaments here for these various games that I was competing in. Gears of War and Dead or Alive, the fighting game, were my two big notables. But it started with Dead or Alive. I got tipped on a Evolution, it's called, the biggest fighting game tournament of the year, of course. And this was back in 2006 when it was going to be in Massachusetts, very close to my house in New York. So I begged my mom to drive me up there. I told a friend to come with me for the weekend, and that was my very first event. I wound up taking third place as a total grasshopper esports, brand new first ever event. I took third place, and from that point on, I just felt like, you know, this is something that you're meant to do. It felt really good, and a lot of people were super impressed that I took third place, being an absolute no name in the community. I beat the guy who was supposed to win the event in the very first round that I was on stage. So like, the people, when I beat the guy who was rumored to win the event the first round, first off, I was getting booed. But secondly,
you got booed?
Yeah, straight up booed. Like all of his friends were, I guess, in the crowd at the tournament. So like,
was that when you were walking on, or just like after you beat him a little bit?
While playing and winning the random rounds, I was like, I would get boos and like, you know, they wanted him to win, rightfully so. So I took third place, and I was competing on game battles for a while for shooters, and then I started traveling for Gears of War. And between going to Dead or Alive events that first year, and then Gears of War events, my pseudo first year as well, later half of the first year, I just became obsessed with traveling for esports. The camaraderie, the teamwork, just hanging out with all the different professional gamers in different genres, nights out, going out to restaurants and just having fun and meeting these guys that I've been talking to online for years and years and years was just such an unbridled chemistry. I just got obsessed with esports, and I basically did 5 days a week. I'd go to high school, and then every single weekend you were finding me in a different state to be back on high school again on Monday. So I was just doing that nonstop for literally 8 years of my career to start, and I would never change it for anything. I love this industry.
So you were in high school. You were in high school when you were competing. How old were you when you first started it out? Like your first tournament?
2006. So I was born in 89. 2K6 was my first event. So 99, that'd be 10. I was 16 at the time. I have a late birthday, so I was 16 at the time. But I'd been already competing online on game battles and just like the online forums and tournaments for like probably a year or so before then. So I probably started competing online when I was like 14, 15, and I took it offline by the time I was 16 and competed till I was about 23 as a player.
That's really exciting. I've never stepped on the stage, so I've never known what it's like to be a competitor. I've always just been adjacent to the competition.
But you're great at that. Yeah. You have such a lovable like face and host and voice, and like you're very easygoing and nice. I don't know if you would survive in the competitive.
No, I wouldn't. I'm soft.
And today they want esports to be very nice. So no trash talk. So maybe today, but when I was gaming, I mean, in Gears of War 1, I remember I used to go against Nick Merckx all the time, CDN the Third all the time, High Distortion, Nexi, Supra, all these long-term big boy names, and boy, it was a trash talk. It was destruction in the early Gears of War 1 days, that's for sure.
Was it just completely like go ahead, say whatever you want?
No, not definitely not for me at least. I was never someone that took that approach. I always kept it in the game. That was my specialty. I would beat you in the game, and while I was beating you in the game, I'd be telling you over the divider how bad I was beating you in the game, and it would just tilt so many people. There were some people, don't get me wrong, that didn't have filters, but I gotta say everybody that was quote unquote savage wasn't savage from necessarily the way they were trash talking. It was just the passion behind the trash talk that would make them that scary person to talk back with. The Gears of War community was just savage in terms of like yelling and maybe cursing, but not saying like racial slurs or like things like that.
Yeah, there's this one clip that I know specifically about Gears trash talk where they're just yelling. It's crazy how they would put them right next to each other. Would you be on the other side of a set of TVs competing against someone?
Most of the initial lands, yeah. Like, I remember when I would go against it was always High Council and Only on Point. That was my team, Only on Point. High Council was CDN the Third's team. He's one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. It was his team. There was a divider, and yeah, that's how the initial esports were back in 2006 and 7 and 5 and around that time. There was just literally like an old divider, like in the middle of the room, and you would hear the other team's call outs and things of that nature. There wasn't soundproof boots yet or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, you would hear each other for sure. And then, if you want to trash talk, we're only a divider away. You get a snipe across the map, and you're gonna scream in the room, hey, sniped you, baby, like you're garbage. And that was you would hear that. It's right there. So you would hear it back in the day.
Yeah, no, I would get tilted pretty easily because if someone would trash talk me, I'm like, hey, dude, come on, let's just play the game.
See, yeah, I knew you would be that guy. You'd be that guy. Like, come on, man, like let's just play.
Like talk shit. Once the game's over, then we can talk shit. But come on, like I'm the first to hit mute enemy team on Valorant. Like I keep that shit. I keep that button pressed.
Mute enemy team. I will say, as I've gotten older, I have definitely trash talk less, and I'm more now of a mute enemy team person than I was before. I'm not gonna lie. Things change, I guess, as you get a little bit older. For myself, at least, I'm less on the trash talk now.
That's the evolution from Rabies to PaulyHype, I think. That's
right.
You're no longer a rabid wolf.
That's how it was, dude. I lived the name. I always did. I lived the name. I embodied it. I loved being it. I loved being ferocious. I loved talking trash. I loved people thinking I was out of my bird crazy. I remember one time some dude was like, there was this guy Shade Swift Eye in Dead or Alive, and he was someone that if it came to an East Coast tournament or me and him were at the same tournament, I knew it was going to be me and him in the finals. You know, at some point in the bracket we were going to go against each other. But I remember like one of the first tournaments I went up against this dude, he was drinking like a Poland Spring water bottle, and I just like he like took the cap off and I just open palm smashed the shit like all over the like desk. I think like I smashed it to the side, you know, I wouldn't knock it on him, but
oh my god,
and I just like smashed it in the air, and he was just like, what the fuck? And someone else that randomly had met me at that event was like, this guy is insane. Like, what did he just do? So I lived by the shock value feature when I was younger.
You know, I'm just imagining you're at a LAN. Hold on, I've got a throwback pic of Rabies here.
That's
imagine you're on LAN and this guy jumps over the divider to tell you you're garbage.
That's how it was. It'd probably be a lot worse than that. I'd probably be saying, you are effing trash, man. Like that was how it went.
Oh my god.
That was that time.
I love that haircut, man. I love that haircut.
Yeah, now this is my haircut.
Well, you know.
But yeah, when I was young, I was all about the crazy haircut, man. Shock value, like I said, shock value was my game.
What would you say to get that? Because like, what I might want to pull up to the barber and ask for that.
So I would do custom haircuts with my barber all the time. So I called that one the 3 lines, and then I did a double line. So basically, he would just trace along the bottom of my hairline, and he would make it like a double line. So I would ask I told my barber all the time, and I would go in, yo man, you know the deal, let me get the double line with the 3 on the side. And yeah, he always knew what was up. Actually, my barber still has that picture or a different picture I took. I used to have really long hair, like almost down to my shoulders, but I would do the same stuff like with the double lines and the lines on the side. My barber actually still has that picture like as his professional like business picture like to this day. So
is it in like the corner of the barber shop where you can get an order, and if they ask for the double line, like no, you can't get the double line. That's reserved.
That has been retired. I'm the only one that gets the double line. Like I've never seen anybody get the double line.
It's like hanging up a jersey when a player retires. You hang up there.
I've never seen anyone get the double line. So that's been the haircut for a bit, but now I got to do the double beard line. I don't have the.
Yeah, you also used to have like a big beard. Why don't you?
I shaved it actually before we started. It was just that time. It was getting way too long. Some of those gray hairs started coming in, and I was just like, you know what? I saw the picture you put up for our, host picture or our demo picture, and I was like, you know what? Let me match that energy. I'm feeling it, but I'm glad I did. I feel really good right now.
That the caption I found on that one was call me Pauly Sins.
What was it?
I think you said it. Call me Pauly Sins.
Yeah, Pauly Sins. That's right. Somebody said that on my stream that day that I put that picture of. Like, you know who Johnny Sins is? I was like, yeah, I know who he is. And then Pauly Sins was born.
Oh my god, I think that's right. I think it's fantastic. If you didn't go with the way of PaulyHype, that's another option you could have taken.
Oh yeah, Pauly Sins, right? Yeah, you know what? I don't know how that one would have been perceived though. There's a lot of people that know who Johnny Sins is. So, but yeah, I love that about gaming, that we can all just keep it light, and I like that this is probably one of the first aliases that really started using industries that use aliases as kind of the main name. I've always enjoyed that. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of being able to contact people and saying, hey, I Can Go Pro. What's up?
Yeah, it's just nice. It's relaxing. It's not as formal, and it's always been a really fun thing about the gaming industry, being able to come up with an alias or come up with your own character, pseudo person. It's really fun.
Have you had any other names besides Rabies? Like some cringe younger names?
Oh, actually, I shouldn't say no. I should say yes. I have. Right before I turned to Rabies.
Paper Girl, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the studio.
I always gamed with the same people. Even to this day, I've gamed with the same people across my career. And we've always made clans and, kind of kept on top of each other. But before Rabies came to be, we made this clan called Not Zero, which in German, it meant soldier. Basically, the soldier zero. And I came up with a name called Pyrnaut, Pyrnaut, which meant fire soldier. So that was kind of like my first name before. And then like I think like a week later, we're like, all right, this name sucks. So let's go to Only on Point, and I came up with Rabies after that. But I was that, and then my very first ever Xbox handle before in like 2000 to 2002 or like 2002 2004, I was a Fidget 69. That was my first ever. That was my first ever
what?
Fidget FIGIT 69.
Was that the one that Xbox gave you, and you were just like, oh fuck it, I'll keep this, or did you type that in?
I typed it in. Nope, I typed it in. I was not able to sit still as a child. I'm still not either. I'm still not able to today, as you can tell. So Fidget was the name, and then 69 was, because I was in high school and an immature idiot. So
Nice.
I think I was in 9th grade when I came up with that, or 8th grade. So gotta forgive me.
No, that's totally acceptable. I've had a very long list of cringe names throughout my gaming career. I could give you the first one was Cool Kid 276. That was my first RuneScape name. That name was fucking boss. That name was no, I made that up. That was all me, baby. That was all me. And then my first League of Legends was Car Lost Soul. Because I was like, oh, I'm Carlos, and I'm edgy. I'm a lost soul. Carlos soul. And then the second I made that, I was like, I fucked up. Because that was when you had to pay money to change your Riot ID. And I was like, I'm not gonna spend any money to change that. We're just gonna run with that mistake.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to do it, and that's all good. I kind of like that name though. It's very creative.
Thank you. That's the first compliment I've ever gotten on that name. I think the last as well.
It was nice. It's a good play on words.
So going back to when you were a competitor, you played Gears of War and you also played Dead or Alive. Now tell me about WGC Fighters Club 2.
Yeah, Fighter Club 2. There was a building in New York City in Manhattan called the Samsung Experience throughout the 2000s, and this was a spot that was really one of the first adapters of esports in New York, obviously being Samsung's flagship store in Manhattan. They ran tournaments regularly, partnered up with the WCG, which if you were competing in the early 2000s, the WCG World Cyber Games was the number one place to be. They were doing $100,000 tournaments really before almost anybody in terms of their world finals were anywhere between 10 and 20, 100,000 for various different games. But they operated and partnered up with the Samsung Experience. That was one of their main partners. And that's where a lot of early Dead or Alive fighting game events were taking place. What was interesting about Dead or Alive is that despite it being the most small, niche, unknown fighting game, when you think of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and all these different games that are very notable brands, Dead or Alive is not one of them, right? It's not the very first fighting game you think of when someone says it. But Dead or Alive, actually, people don't realize Dead or Alive had the most money in it for a fighting game in like almost all the early 2000s because it was one of the most progressively visual, beautifully made fighting games. Any WCG partnered with it. Championship Gaming Series, the first ever gaming series on TV, partnered with Dead or Alive. So there was a lot of money in Dead or Alive for being an unknown niche fighting game in the early 2000s. And Fighter Club 2 was the very first event, the very first big boy event that I won at the Samsung Experience. So that was that was my very first place actual win, and it was a pretty darn big tournament, as it gave you also, I think you won like passage into the finals. It was like a qualifier event roughly. So it was my very first event that I actually won full-fledged, and it was really fun to like have the crowd behind me, and a lot of people like PMS Seltzer, her name's Seltzer now. She's very big in the industry as a host and commentator. She was actually live at that event and watched me win that event as a young kid. So there was just a lot of notable people there, and it was just a really important event to be my first win ever officially in the circuit.
And that was when you were rocking the double line, right?
Yeah, that's when I had the double lines and doing crazy haircuts, and yeah, that was during that time. I was, I want to say 2008 maybe, or 2007. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was around it was definitely 7 or 8. So yeah, around that time. I was probably 17 or 18 at the time.
You started off in the gaming scene or the competitive scene getting booed at. What was the difference? Yeah. How did you feel when you were actually having people cheer for you instead?
Fantastic. That's really, there's no other word around it. I felt great. When I remember the very first time I went up on that stage, the very first tournament at Evo, it was on a jumbo Titantron. The commentator was like just some guy like walking around the event and was like a mic. Like he was like it was like not a comedy down and didn't play DOA. Yeah, I didn't know what he was saying to commentator, but it was nervous being booed. Like it was a fire because it's like, all right, I want to shut these people up really bad. But it was also a really humbling experience. And then to go from that to then winning events and having the same exact people that were booing me behind me and cheering me on was just like a surreal experience. You know, I realized that I'd come full circle in a short amount of time. I realized that I had befriended all those people that were booing me in the community in the first one. I befriended them and they were in my corner for, you know, every time after that. In fact, it was really after that first event. After that first event, people started coming up to me and being like, "Hey, man, you know, you just beat Hell Shadow. You know, he was supposed to win the event. You know, like, I was like, I don't know. Like, it's my first event. I don't know." So, like, it was nice to have those people start talking to me and getting me involved and traveling to more events and then having them in my corner. Yeah.
What's the difference between competing in a solo game like a FGC or Dead or Alive versus a team game like Gears?
It's super. In a fighting game, there is no one to blame. There is no one to blame. You can't almost point a finger at somebody. You're the only one sitting there competing. There's no one to blame. But in a shooting game, when you're playing with three people, it goes both ways, right? Like there is someone to blame. Like there can be someone to blame, but also there are people that are like, you know, on your team and really, you know, getting down with you, and they're encouraging you at the same time when you're doing good in the game. So I guess the one biggest difference that I struggled with was like, when you lose as a team, it's really easy to be like, yo, you dropped the ball in this last round, roughly, let's say, you know, like, or not that I would say that, but you can say it. It's there. Like, you could be like, hey, you know, you got 5 kills the last round. You were the reason why we lost. When in the fighting game, there's no one to look at except yourself. There's no one to talk to. There's no one to blame. There's no one to, you can't blame the game. You can't blame the controls. You can't blame anything except the man in the mirror. And that was the reason actually why I went to fighting games, because I tried shooters first. I tried going pro in shooters first. I took 4th place in the very first ever Gears of War MLG event, which was a lot of fun. And, you know, we were winning money in tournaments, but at the same time, every time we'd lose a tournament, it would really get discouraging to me. And I just felt like I could do better. And it made me want to see if I really could do better by going to a whole different genre and going into a solo experience. And in my opinion, like, I wouldn't trade either for the world, but I really enjoyed that experience of being on my own and not being with a team, because that's what really solidified my journey in esports, because those guys didn't want to travel. I love them to death, but they didn't want to travel. And they didn't want to go to the events. And you know, Los, you know, if you don't go to the events, man, I know it's not easy to travel. It's not easy to get on a plane. It's not easy to spend money to go into a hotel and have to compete and have to win. And if you don't win, you go home with negative dollars. Like, not even $0. You go home with negative because you bought the plane and you bought the hotel. So to be able to play single player fighting games and to win all the money when you would win, and not have any finger or point to blame when you would lose, was really compelling to me, and why I stuck with that genre so much over team-based esports.
Is it easier to take a loss in a solo game rather than a team-based game?
Yes, because like I said, again, there's no one to point the finger at. When you look in that mirror, when you go home that night and you're sulking like, damn, I just lost 10 grand because I didn't do this. You know that because you didn't do this, because you didn't read the situation right, or because you didn't understand the player you were playing enough or the character you were fighting against enough. In a team-based game, you could be, you know, I remember, I'll never forget it. The very first event, Halo 3 came out. The very first event my team traveled to was in Nashville, Tennessee. It was literally the very first month that Halo 3 was released. All the big names were there. It was before MLG picked it up. So there wasn't like MLG pros in Halo 3 yet, but the names that were going to be in MLG were at this first event. And I remember we were a rumored team. There was buzz about us in the venue. Like, people were talking about, yo, Infinite Potential's here. That was always our team name, Infinite Potential. There was buzz that, you know, Infinite Potential is here. And we heard it and we felt it. And we wind up losing in the first round. We wind up losing in the very first round to the team that won the event. We lost by 1 kill on, I forget the name of the map. I have to look it up real quick. It was one where it was half was outside and the other half was inside, tunnel system. I forget the name of the map. I was just playing it on MCC.
Was it Guardian? The green one?
No, it wasn't Guardian. It was like there was a Warthog on it outside. I'm gonna tell you whatever. It doesn't matter.
I mean,
Either way,
I want to know. I want to know what it is.
Let me pull. It's a Halo 3 map. Let me just see real quick. So
Okay.
Let's see. Halo 3 maps. I'll know right away. It was.
Anyone in the chat get some guesses out?
No, I'll tell you right now. It was High Ground.
High Ground. Oh yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
I love High Ground.
High Ground was the map, and basically we lost by 1 kill, and we were up 8 kills in the final minute. We were up 8 kills in the final minute. It was 49 to 41. We lost, constantly got picked off. We started breaking down chemistry, started breaking down communication. We all got frantic. 49-49, and they pick up 50. And they win the event, and we lose. Most humbling, painful, gut-wrenching experience ever, because we win that tournament. We go into that first MLG as literally the number 1 team in the game. You know, like, that's just such a massive feeling of accomplishment. And that night, I just remember, like, I remember looking to my left and my right and seeing my teammates. And by the way, this is their first ever LAN event. Remember, I told you they wouldn't travel. I got them to go to this event. So it's their first LAN event, and we all suffer this gut-wrenching loss, and then we wind up seeing this team win the event. So we would have won the event if we beat them. Like, most likely. We would have probably won the event. And that feeling of just, I remember going back to the hotel room just lifeless. Like, all of us were just absolutely lifeless. We wanted to blame each other. We didn't, but we wanted to. We wanted to, we just wanted to get the time back. We wanted to fix it. We wanted to win that game. That was our game to win that we threw away. So that heartbreaking loss is just like so tough as a team to go through, because you're sitting there, you want to talk about it. Everyone's sitting on eggshells. Everyone's kind of just in the room, lifeless and hurt. And that sits with you a lot longer than any loss really of my career in a fighting game.
Do you think
that it's also like, because like you want to win for these guys, right? Like, you want to win for them. That's how I felt, at least. I want to win for them. I want to, and the fact that I lost, I specifically remember one of my teammates had 5 of the deaths in the final 10. And I remember being to myself, like, wanting to be like, bro, what were you doing? Because we were calling out on the comms, like, yo, stop moving, camp, stop. And like, I remember, he had 5 of the 10 final deaths, and I wanted to point the finger at him and blame him. And that's the one part of the teamwork that's really challenging. You really can't do that, and I didn't, but you can't do it, and it's the part that just doesn't exist in fighting games, that dynamic.
Do you think that if you had won that event, your career would have taken a different turn? Like, you might have focused more in FPS games, you would have been deeper in the MLG circuit?
Dude, like, you hit the nail on the head with what you're just saying. I haven't thought about this in so long, Los. You're bringing up like crazy like memories in me right now and feelings. Because I was literally just thinking that before you even asked it. If we had won that event, that would have inspired my teammates to see, like, damn, we're good. Like, we can travel and win. And, like, this is a real deal. And I think it would have at least been enough to get them to go to that first MLG event. And I think going into that first MLG event, we would have had a name already for ourselves. So no matter where we would have even placed at that first MLG event, we would have gotten the ball snowballing in terms of a brand and in terms of being a known team. And I do think, like, I never wanted to go to fighting games, bro. I never really did. I only did because, honestly, I actually got kicked off the team when I was younger. They kicked me off. I had, I was a very frantic young adult. I'll put it like that. Fidget, rabies. I was very frantic and pointing fingers, and whether I deserved to get kicked off the team or not, it happened. And I gotta say, I'm thankful it happened, because that drove me right into the arms of fighting games, and that literally set my career for what it is today. I do think, however, it would be totally different if I was in the MLG circuit instead of a fighting game community.
So how long had you been a competitor in the FGC?
Since that very first Dead or Alive 4. So Dead or Alive 4 came out in 2004, I want to say, or 5, maybe 5. And I've been competing in fighting games ever since then. I don't compete anymore. I do casually. Like, the last fighting game I competed in was Dead or Alive 6 launch event. That was probably a year or so ago, or 2 years ago. I competed. I took like 2nd place in an event, so I know I can still bang. But I like commentary. I like being the bridge now. I like being that one that really teaches the people. I never had that growing up. I never had a commentator that was the bridge between competitive play and casual. There was nobody who knew anything about esports. You know what I mean? So to now live as a competitor for so long in the infancy during gaming, and now as gaming's blowing up, be this bridge that I wish I always had. Someone that's a commentator that, tells me to get out there or explains the difference between why this is working and why it's not and breaks the games down live is something I always really, really wanted to do for the general public. So to do that now and for it to stem from being a player is literally a dream come true, and I can't ask for anything more.
Tell me about the transition from competitor to commentator. When did you know that it was time to change paths?
I was a competitor at the time, and I was sitting in my chair after probably another devastating defeat. I'm not gonna lie. I never placed outside of the top 10 in my first whole year of esports. I never placed outside the top 10 a single time. But then, I probably placed, didn't win. So if I didn't win, I was still sulking. That's just how I was. So I didn't win, and I was sitting here, and I was like, man, you're training 10 plus hours a day. You're spending every dollar you get to go to random events across the country. And even if you win, you're winning $500. You're winning 1,000 or whatever the case was, but it wasn't enough, right? And I was getting tired of it. And as a young adult, I was around 24 or so when I started transitioning into commentary. I remember seeing one of my oldest competitors. His name goes by the name of Golden Boy. He was one of my oldest competitors.
Wait a minute. You played against Golden Boy?
If there was an East Coast tournament in a shooting game, I knew Golden Boy was going to be there with Robski. He was going to be there with Ghost. That was his team. And we were always at the same events. If it was an East Coast, if it was an NJ Halo, if it was a Long Island Battleground, a Samsung Experience, an NJ Halo, whatever the case was, I knew Golden Boy. I knew CDN was going to be there. So I've competed against Golden Boy a million times as a kid. When I say me and Golden Boy talk so much trash to each other, we would talk so much insane trash to each other. It really is crazy. Actually, let me pull up something here that might be kind of cool. Actually, you guys might really like this. But yeah. So against Golden Boy is what I always competed against, and I remember after we lost to him at an event. It was a Halo Reach event at that Samsung Experience store. I'm going to look at this picture here quick.
I'd love to see it.
Shortly after that, I remember seeing him as a commentator on, I want to say it was UMG Call of Duty. I want to say, like, back in the day. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, and now me and Golden Boy, we fucking hated each other. Today, I love this guy. He's one of my closest friends. Literally the person that inspired me to be a commentator. Not even kidding a little bit. Total 100% the person that inspired me to be a commentator. Love the guy to death. But when we were competitors, we did not like each other at all. I saw him commentating a UMG Call of Duty event shortly after seeing him as a player, and I remember thinking to myself, this guy is onto something here. Why is he doing this? Like, I remember thinking, like, why does he want to be a commentator? He's a player. And I started watching him throughout the next year, and then I saw him getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm like, now I see why. This guy is not competing anymore. He's getting a bigger check than if he was competing, and he's a talent piece. And I remember thinking to myself, that is absolutely genius. I need to do the same. I think I could do it better. And that was just my thought process. And every day I started getting to work, practicing, watching VODs, casting, whatever. And I always told myself, nobody knows these games, fighting games, shooting games, not like you, not the analytical, not the science behind them. I know the gaming science. And that was what made me think that I could be one of the best commentators in the world. And ever since then, Dead or Alive gave me my first couple casual opportunities. And after that, I just never, ever looked back.
That's awesome to hear. That an intense rivalry caused you to pick that up.
Yep, 100%. 100% did. Try to find this other stuff for here. I'm trying to see where I have it.
What were some of your early gigs? How did you first break into it?
Yeah, my first stuff was all Dead or Alive. I told Dead or Alive I was a player there for the most part, and I told Dead or Alive, like, I would really love to teach people this game that the overall community is kind of having a hard time digesting. They don't understand why things are happening. I see it in the chat. They're not understanding. Let me teach them why. And I believe it was my very first comment. One of my first commentators was commentating gigs was at TFC, the Fall Classic. And I remember commentating Dead or Alive, and one of the biggest tournament organizers in the world, his name is Jabali, Alex Jabali. He runs all of DreamHack. He runs CEO.
Wait, is that the guy who has Bailey World? Is that a thing?
I don't know if that's one of his things right now. He does have one of the most popular faces on Twitch as an emote, like the
Oh wait, he's Jabate?
Jabate. He's Jabate. Yes, he's Jabate. Yes, he's Jabate. So he tweeted out during my very first commentary. He tweeted out, "Who is this guy on the mic? He's one of the best commentators I've ever heard in my life." So when he tweeted that out, I really took that to heart, and people were like giving me a crazy amount of feedback, like, "Yo, Jabali just said that says about you, bro. Like, this is a big deal." And you know, I just started doing that nonstop, and that was really like the big. I'm trying to find these pictures at the same time. I'm having a hard time locating them for some reason. I don't know
while you look, East Hill Mac is asking, who is this guy he's talking to? I don't know if he's talking about me or he's talking about you, but this is PaulyHype, hype man, commentator, and esports host. Come on.
Let's go.
We've worked together before, baby. And we're going to be working together again. We're working together right now. I mean, I guess this is for fun.
Okay, so let me bring up here some stuff. Let me add a little display capture here for the stream here. Okay, so really quick.
You still got the chains. Oh my.
This was like the very first time I commentated. The Fall Classic right there in the background. I did not know how to dress as a commentator. I was very unprofessional.
Wait, what do you mean? That's the gamer outfit. It's blazer with graphic tee.
Yo, this was the very first time I ever commentated. This is when my hair was long. This was 100% the very first commentary gig I ever did. This here, let me show you some crazy stuff here. Here's another one when I was young. Commentating in a jersey.
You got the sleeveless. Oh my god.
Too much. Way too much. But let me show you something here. This here is let's see here. Where is the picture I'm looking for? Here it is. This here was one of my very first. This is Swoozy, one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. This is Seltzer back in the day when she was PMS Seltzer. Here is Golden Boy standing next to me. Young Golden Boy when we would trash talk each other. Right here. Rivington, you guys might recognize him.
Oh shit, Rivington the third?
Rivington's
what?
Right there. He's one of the Riot League of Legends Valorant commentators. Me and Rivington were very close for years growing up. And yeah, this was the New York esports scene right here. Us here. And,
oh my god. That is absolutely epic picture right there. It's awesome.
One of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. It's just one I really can't get rid of. But there was one more I think I wanted to show you guys really quick.
I love how unimpressed you are in that picture.
Because I think I was watching them play a fighting game, and you know it's Seltzer. You know, she's just getting so much attention because it's Seltzer, and this is my guy Michael Murray. He was a big prominent esports figure for a long time, and I was probably watching them like, what are these guys? You know, what are these guys doing? But yeah, this was this was year one of Dead or Alive. This was winning a lot of fighting games. This was getting some of this is the early New York City and Philadelphia DOA crew, which is a throwback. This was me gaming. Look, this is how we used to compete. We used to compete on these CRT monitors.
Are you in the full white suit?
Full white suit with the terribly done blowout. This was Fighter Club 2. You mentioned that. This was Fighter Club 2 here. This is the first event I won. This was at Fighter Club 2 when I had the Faux Hawk. This was the holiday event that I lost the Golden Boy at right here. This was at the Samsung Experience in Manhattan. This was very fun. And last one, if I was to show you one more, if you guys know, if you ever know who Nomad is the reason there is a Nomad button layout in Call of Duty. And that is actually from this man right here in the middle. He's the world's first ever professional handicap gamer. This was at E3 2015 when DOA 5 was coming out. And this is just such a special picture to me because Nomad, this dude works so hard, man. And he's had crazy life complications. And he literally he has his own button config in Call of Duty. So that was a pretty spectacular time there for me. But let me get rid of some of these here as we are back once again.
There's us.
Oh, whoops, got rid of the wrong thing there. Sorry. But yeah, try to take you guys down to the trip down memory lane. You know what I'm saying?
That was awesome. Oh my god. That was so cool to see. That's history right there, man. That's esports history.
It is, man. Like that one picture with Golden Boy is probably one of the biggest pictures I cherish because there couldn't be a more full circle picture in the world than that one right there. Like it's just crazy to see. You know, it's mind blowing. It gets me emotional thinking about it. You know, how we landed here. I mean, it's all the same people are still in the industry. It's really interesting.
How do you go from rivals hating each other to friends?
So I did this TV show back in 2017 called The Caster. It was Hi-Res Studios put out. They make Smite and Paladins and Realm Royale and Rogue Company. They put out a show called The Caster, which was basically American Idol for esports commentators. They wanted to make their own.
Wait, what? I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah. It wasn't the biggest show, but let's see if I have the trailer for it. Here.
Esports is the new hot. Just as important as the players and coaches are the commentators, translate and highlight the story for the audience.
Oh, there's you.
Tougher than it sounds. Roll in message right there. I have no idea how you did that.
But Tigress was on the show with me. She's one of obviously League of Legends main hosts right now.
Whittled it down to 10. Compete for an opportunity, fame, fortune, and the opportunity to cast Hi-Res Studios' HRX Smite World Champion. Win $10,000.
Site has been players already.
Everyone, telling about video games. Sit your boy, whoa.
What?
And who is the cast?
That's sick. What a cool show.
It was a really cool show, and that was my very sorry. I'm gonna change back here. Having to change while doing the interview, kind of weird. But that was a show that I got cast on in 2017, and I wound up taking 4th place on that show. And shortly after that, I was home, and Hi-Res called me up, and they offered me a full-time job as a Paladins talent piece after that show. So I got 4th. The main prize of that show was to get a full-time job at Hi-Res. That was like the main prize.
So you got it anyway.
I got it anyway. Yeah, I wanted to take it 4th, and I got it anyway. La Tigress actually won the show. She had gotten 1st, and she was offered a full-time job down there. So they called me up. They offered me the same position shortly after, and that was my first big break. Golden Boy was actually a judge on that show, which is why I brought it up. You said, how did we become friends? And it was because Golden Boy was a judge on that show. And Golden Boy is probably the reason that I got the job at Hi-Res, because during that show, Golden Boy was advocating for me the entire time behind the scenes to get that position. And I firmly believe, definitely on my own merit as well, because I am a great caster, but probably, it's always nice when you have someone like Golden Boy saying like, yeah, this guy's the guy to hire.
When you first walked into the studio and you saw it was him, were you just like, this fucking guy?
Dude, I did not know what to think. I remember seeing him, and I remember him seeing me, and he didn't come up to me at first. I knew exactly who it was. He knew who I was. There was no, we weren't no being stupid here. But at the same time, I did want to respect his level up, because we weren't cool at this time yet. Not like we are today. Not like to where like we're cool today. Like, he's my boy. I'll go out of my way to like go travel and see him and like say what up to him and go to his events. But there, during that time, that was the start of our professional relationship. We'll put it like that, because before then it was just, competitors, trash talk, and, East Coast rivals and so on. But that was the start of like a professional relationship. And, I just started talking to him throughout that week. And I remember coming up to him after, everyone walked out of the room at one point, and I walked up to him and I was like, yo, what up, Alex? Like, what's good? I didn't want to do that in front of everybody, because I didn't really want people to know that he knew me. I didn't want him to think that there's some bias here or something like that. You know what I mean?
That is real caster bias.
Like, straight up. Like, I didn't want someone to think that. So I waited till everyone was gone. I walked over to him and I was like, yo, what's up, Golden Boy? And he's like, hey, Rabies. And I almost can sense the the remembering of the competitor Rabies when he said, hey, Rabies. It was definitely not the hypest of hellos. We'll say that. But towards the end of the week, being together all week, seeing how I grew as a commentator, and then I'm pretty sure at some point in the week I got asked the same question. How'd you get started in commentary? And I gave him full credit because he really is like. I hated him so much as a player that when I saw him being a commentator, I was like, what is this guy onto? What is he onto? I'm not seen anybody do this route. Why is he doing it? And then I started seeing him getting gig after gig after gig, and I was like, you know what? This guy is onto something. And I really started recognizing his intelligence and respecting him as a professional. And I started taking my ego back down a bit and really hanging on to what he started telling me. And me and him just started growing year after year ever since 2017 and that show. As friends, rather.
That is that's such a crazy history.
A lot of these guys, bro, a lot of these guys. All right, check this out. Ready? Last random picture.
I mean, okay. take me back, man. I love seeing these pictures.
Okay. This was where are we at? So many pictures in this thing here. But see if I can find it. Sorry, one sec. Oh, here it is. Okay, so hold on, I'm getting some lag. Open.
Stay tuned, folks. We're gonna have this image right up.
No, here it is. Okay. It's the final picture. So this is me when I did the Friday night fights, which was a televised show for Call of Duty TV when Modern Warfare 3 came out. Stacy Keibler from the WWE was a host. But the reason why I'm showing this is I don't know if you guys know, but this guy right here in the middle, you know who this is?
No, who is that?
Okay, this is a little guy known by the name of Hastro.
Wait, what?
This is Hastro, aka CEO and owner of Dallas Envy. So he was the host of the show before he was the owner of the Dallas Envy back in 2017, I want to say, or so. I forget when Modern Warfare 3 came out, but yeah, I mean that's all.
Also, I want to point out you were absolutely dripped out.
Oh yeah. I straight up rocking the only white guy to rock the Black Jesus piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, had to put that on him. I was super into Kanye as a kid, by the way. That's why I wore the Jesus piece. But
how long have you had these chains?
I've always done the chains, bro, because
it's the same one. The I'm a Fighter, or
yeah. So the I'm a Fighter chain. This actually came out when Dead or Alive 5 came out 5 years ago, and they had this chain. And when I was at that E3 event, they gave these chains out to everyone at E3, and they were the hit. They were the game. No one gave an F about Dead or Alive, but they all wanted these chains. Like, people were coming up from all over, like, yo, you got one of those chains? Can we get those chains? And I straight up I like this chain so much, even though it's just like a plastic I'm a Fighter chain, that I took like 10 of them, and I've had them sitting in my drawer for 5 years. And whenever one breaks, I get a brand new one, and I've rocked it literally the entire time. So this is a throwback to my Dead or Alive career. It's something really fun and cool that I like, and I've repped it literally every step of the way, despite being a little like plastic chain.
Holy, that is so damn cool, man.
I like the chain. I just like it, man. Like, I'm a fighter. Like, if they told me, like, give us $1,000 and we'll put a real gold chain on this and laminate this, like, for real, I would like totally do it. Like, this is such a cool chain.
We gotta hit up the studio that makes Dead or Alive so we could get like a real piece. Get you iced out fighter.
Team Ninja. Those are the studios that make it.
Team Ninja, if you're in the chat or you get this clip, come on, we're waiting.
This is a random cool pick. This is the very first time I was in PlayStation and Xbox magazine. The September and October issues of 2012, I guess. Yeah, 2012 September and October issues. These were all the different pros in the Dead or Alive circuit at the time. And yeah, this was the very first time I was in Xbox and PlayStation magazine, and with this full page little ad, which was really surreal to see myself in that magazine.
Well, I mean, and now you're finding yourself in broadcast talent flyers, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. Lo, thank you for the crazy questions, bro. You've tricked me down a trip down memory lane. This show, I didn't think we were gonna, start like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Rabies existed.
Yep. Yeah.
So I've learned so much more than I was expecting to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I've got pictures. That's only just the beginning. I've got so many pictures and videos and stuff throughout the years. Anything that I was on ever, I tried to find some way to get a snapshot or something of it. And I've been just building this catalog of stuff throughout the years for just when I'm an old man and I can look back on this and kind of realize, where I've come.
Well,
But, yeah, go ahead, Liz.
we're seeing a lot of pictures of you at events or outside of them, but you've told me when we first met that there was another layer to the experience of going to LANs and tournaments, and that's the hotel bar. What is the hotel bar?
Sure. Stuff like this, right? Like if I was to pull up some pictures here, stuff like this was always really fun. We would do a lot of after hours events. This is Tom Lee. He's the community manager. Well, was the community manager at the time, but one of the main directors over at Team Ninja Dead or Alive, rocking the Alma Fighter chain there as well. This is when I had long hair almost down to my shoulders, but and rocking some Transformer earrings also. But yeah, we used to do stuff like this. Go to we used to have these little pop-up events, and we used to all go out and just hang out. I'm trying to see if I have any after hours pics here to show you. This is we would just all go out and have fun and chill, and this is the FGC here, the smiles and the laughter. This was at one of the bars that we would hang out in afterwards, and it was just, that was the better part of everything. To answer your question, it was hanging out afterwards, and just everyone's got the egos away, everyone's got the personalities away, everyone's got the competition away, the tournament's over. Now we're just eating, and now this is where it feels like we're back online. This is where it feels like all the camaraderie comes out, and we're all just hanging out in the lobbies and talking. And I almost couldn't wait to get to those points in the events, because this is me teaching Exhibit from Pimp My Ride how to play DOA back in E3. Yeah, he came up to us, and he was super into Dead or Alive, and he's like, "Hey, I heard you guys are the pros. Can you teach me how to play?" And I was like, "Sure, I can, but you got to get me a picture first." And yeah, so that was that. But it's just fun to do the camaraderie of the post event. It's almost better than the event itself, because all the tension's gone, all the trash talk is gone. Now we're just hanging out like we always did growing up, and that was always the most fun to me.
Has the camaraderie and the fun after events continued even when you become broadcast talent?
Definitely. Like, I loved doing that event with you and Dak, right? The Valorant event. I loved it. But even just spending the hour together post-event to have a nice drink at the bar and have some grub and have some chicken tenders and hang out was, if not more fun than the event itself, in my opinion. I really enjoy that part. I enjoy that we get to come out of our suits now, and we get to dial it back, and I don't have to be PaulyHype, the host and commentator. I get to maybe curse a little bit more, or maybe take it back a little bit more. And hey, some people might find that silly, but I enjoy that relaxation personally. So I really like being able to take off the suit, get the tats out, and finish the event on a casual note in the hotel bar. It's
definitely a big, I guess, difference when you first show up to the event versus when you are dressed for the event. Because when I first saw PaulyHype come into Brooklyn for that event, came in looking exactly like he does now, but along with holding a suit carrier. And then 5 minutes later, he comes out fully dressed to the nines, ready to go. I was like, holy shit. They're the same guy?
Yeah. I that shock factor that you experience is how I've made my whole career, because people see me, whether they see me this way first or whether they see me the other way first, they judge me, right? Or they build some sort of who I am, as anybody normally would, right? Like, you kind of trying to see, but if you, like you said, if you see this guy first and then 3 seconds later you're seeing this guy,
I love this picture. I love that picture.
So it's this guy first, and then 5 seconds later, you're seeing this guy. I like that transition of, people say it all the time. I remember the very first day I got to High Res Studios, I walked in like this, tats out. And I went, just like I did with you, I went into the bathroom, I changed into my suit, and I remember coming out, and Hindu Man, who was one of the main Smite casters for the entirety of Smite, was my boss. He was talent lead at High Res. And I remember when I came out of the bathroom, he stopped, and he was like, "Holy shit." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Bro, you clean up nice." He's like, you look nice. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the way. that shock value that you thought I was just, grimace motherfucker coming into the event, and to hear like, hey, this guy is looking good. This guy's looking the part. Because I've always been a big proponent of look the part. Like the way you showed up dressed. You showed up very professional. You looked very nice. I like that. I would have yelled at Dak if that was my event, the way he came.
What? No, poor Dak.
No, not. Well, so me and Dak did another event last week, and he had his just t-shirt, straight up t-shirt, like ultra casual. If I was,
I saw the VOD. It was a Halo themed t-shirt, so I'm gonna defend him. I'll defend him.
Right. Acceptable. It is acceptable. But if I was like not knowing of who Dak is, I would. The old me would be like, that shit looks mad unprofessional. The old I just have always believed in suited and booted is the way to go. Look professional, play the part. That's just me. Yeah, I mean, I've always liked that shock value. The same way you felt it, the same way Hindu Man felt it. I like people seeing me either in the suit first, and then when I come out, they're like, holy shit, you're a totally different dude. Or like seeing me like this first, and then seeing the cleanup and being like, wow, this guy might come in looking like he's off the streets, but he's here to play the part.
Yeah, this guy woke up outside, but now he's looking great.
That's it. I like that. I like that feeling. I do. So it's totally on purpose.
Yeah. So I did judge you at first. I definitely did pass judgment. I thought like, oh no, this is my first LAN. I obviously, in my own opinion, like I can't fuck this up. It's my first LAN. But also, if I fucked it up and I was casting with you, I feel like you would just like. Yeah, yell at me off camera.
No. I've never been a yeller. I'm never gonna embarrass somebody. That's never gonna be my thing. I don't care how greenhorn you are. I'm never gonna embarrass people. And in fact, it's to the point now where I've honed my craft so well that I kind of enjoy working with the greenhorns because I get to just control the show, and I'm not gonna let you fail, and I'm not gonna fail. So, I like going with the greenhorns because let's just say I put you with Dak, right? It's your very first event to start. And maybe you guys are unfamiliar with each other, and maybe it comes off like that unfamiliarity might show on the camera. It could, right? Like if we were just saying like from an overall viewpoint, it could show on the camera. So I would rather just be the one to go with the greenhorn guy so I can make sure 100% that we're going to get through this together and it's going to come out a good cast. And just like me and you did, it came out a great cast despite never meeting each other, never commentating before together, and you being your first event.
Yeah, I mean that's a great mentality to have, and I felt it. I felt it for sure, like just positive energy throughout the entirety of the thing.
Right, and I want you to feel that. Like you said, I could be intimidating. I'm tall. I have tattoos. Just from like an overall person standpoint, I totally get that. Or like you said, you judge me. Most people do. Most people judge everybody, and that's totally fair. But like you said, the second you kind of got to know me and like we started talking and we started casting together, it was just 100% smooth sailing, and that's the way it's always going to be if you're working with me.
Well, I'd say physically we probably both have the same amount of intimidating presence, right?
Yeah. I agree. You can't be intimidating. All right, see, I have resting dick face. If you're a woman, it's bitch face, but if you're a man, it's dick face. I say so. I've got resting dick face. You don't. You have smiley face. So for you, it's like it's so easy to like you, and you're so approachable because you have this passive smiley face. My natural face is I like to smile if you know me, of course, but if I don't, my natural face is this. So if you were to meet me and maybe not know me, you would probably I could see why that could be like a small intimidating thing. I might not come off as the most friendly person before you talk to me.
Yeah, my resting face, I just look like an NPC, just.
Even your resting face is lovable, so like you don't have to worry about that, like literally at all. You have like one of the nicest like likable, approachable faces.
Thank you, Paulie. Thank you so much.
It's seriously true. Like you have an approachable face. Like not everyone has that.
It's one of my perks. It's an edge I have.
It's a good one, bro. It's a good one. I've got the opposite, so I have to fight against that. So I'm gonna say that's a good one.
Well, I think you do a good job at it.
Thank you, man. I try. I really try really hard.
But Paulie, we are edging the end of this show, and I have one challenge for you. I like to give it to all of my guests, just a little bit of a fun activity at the end. Okay. You are a hype man. You've been in the game for such a long time. You know how to get a rise out of a crowd. Now, I ask you to come here for the Late Night with Los studio. Can you hype up Late Night with Los for all the fans at home and all the potential people who could come onto this show? Get them hyped. Get them into it.
Now, are we doing this as a promo read, like a WWE promo read, or are we doing this as like a trailer for future contestants to be on the show?
I think a promo read would be exactly that.
Okay, right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Duly noted. Okay. So late. All right. I got it. Okay. All right, everybody. You just tuned in to Late Night with Los featuring PaulyHype. And I just got to let you guys know this is the late night talk show, the best one right here on Twitch. And most importantly, the most hype. So I don't care what you're doing. I don't care where you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we have so much more action coming for you in future episodes of Late Night with Los. Make sure to hit that follow button. And if you got that Amazon Prime, subscribe, baby. Woo! 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 Woo!
Yes! There we go! That was fantastic! Thank you so much, PaulyHype.
Yes,
Ladies
sir.
and gentlemen, PaulyHype coming out here to the Late Night with Low Studios, live from New York City, and giving us the history and the mystery behind the man formerly known as Rabies, rebranded into PaulyHype, and what hype he has brought to us. One last question, PaulyHype. Where can the people at home find you?
No matter the social, at PaulyHype, PaulyHype on every single social media platform on the planet Los. Yo, thank you so much for having me, brother. It was honestly so much fun. Like, I was so tired today I worked so long today. I was like kind of dreading this because I was worried I didn't have the energy. But you asked me such great questions, and you brought so much passion out of me that I have so much energy right now. Man, dude, thank you so much. This was such a great idea.
Thank you for coming onto the show, and now I'm glad you brought your energy. I don't even know if you had a C4 before you came on here.
I did.
You did it! He did it without it! That's raw, pure PaulyHype energy!